I think is a nice way to lead us back into. Sherry and Andrea and Tara are going to be being able to do a panel session and virtually. So I think they've literally been patiently waiting in the wings for us. Hello, Sherry. Apologies, we ran over because it got really interesting. Like proper.
It is really interesting from this direction too. So really excited.
So thank you for waiting with us. And will we have Andrea and Tara come on screen? Is that how it works?
Yes, they're both here. I can see them on my screen. I'm sure they'll be moved to the
team
big screen shortly.
Perfect. You're all present and correct. So I'm going to step away and hand you over to the panel session that you're going to have about us getting to work somehow.
Yes. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, everyone. I am going to try to do this sort of death-defying sharing thing. Let's make sure this works. So one moment while I attempt to pick the proper screen. And I think screen 2. Excellent. And we'll do this and do this from the beginning. Hopefully you all see the presentation up there. And again, I want to welcome you to our discussion about getting to work on the collaborative efforts that the DEG working parties have going on now and actually having had ongoing for a number of years, several of them. I want first to introduce our agenda and just say we're going to do introductions here. We have an overview we want to share about those initiatives. We equally want to hear from our panelists about what it's meant to them to be on a panel and a working party, excuse me, and to take care of some of these tasks that we've put on board. And then after they share their perspectives, we three also want to invite all of you to participate as well. So with that, I am Sherry Kappel, an evangelist for Litera. I have enjoyed working with the DEG, even back when it was the Document Production Group and the UK DEG. I worked with the New York Word Legal Users Group as well. So really excited to be here for the 20th year of the DEG. And with that, I want Tara, for you, to go ahead and introduce yourself.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thanks, Sherry. So my name is Tara Farhad, and I currently am at Big Hand, and I am doing implementation and support in the documents business. And I've been doing documents for more years than probably anybody wants to admit. Sherry and I think were super young when we first started going around to firms and talking about all the document stuff. And I got involved with DEG right around the pandemic, which was my time, and have been working with a couple of the working groups.
Thank you. And Andrea.
Hi, yes, I'm Andrea Bowyer, and I'm sure I'm familiar to quite a lot of you, as I've been involved with DEG for many years and was chair of the organization for 7 years. So I'm sure I have spoken to the vast majority of you by this point. For anyone who doesn't know me, though, I am currently at Norton Rose Fulbright in the UK, and I look after our document productivity tools and have such a huge passion for everything that we are about to talk about today.
So exciting. Okay, well, thank you. So let's just kind of jump right in and mention that Andrea, who, by the way, I realize that you're kind of a working party of one on this particular aspect, which is our website.
Indeed.
And Andrea has put up on our website an initiatives page in which we have essentially little cards there for every one of the initiatives that we have going on. You can go to that link. We'll actually take you there in just a bit. You can go to that link, you can click on the card, you can find out about the initiative. You can even fill in a form to say, this is what I want to help you all do. So again, we'll get to that in just a minute. However, what I'd really like to do is just kind of show you that there's activity going on with every one of those initiatives right now. The standard styles Richard mentioned earlier today, we're extending those to enhance them with accessibility requirements that have become really important to address some of the specific document types. Can we say California pleading, anyone? And so there's a bunch of activity going on with that. In addition, we have a newsletter that Maria Clancy leads. We have a shared expertise. Think of it as a knowledge base with tips and tricks around Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. We've already shared with you about the capabilities matrix. We have programming. We've already picked up that there are 3 new sessions we're planning for this coming year. So the programming committee is always, working party is always meeting and planning forward for what we're going to talk about. We have a new initiative on document structure and a resumed initiative that Andrea is going to talk about, our document contact, and then our dictionary. And I saw Sally in the audience. Sally, if you would just raise your hand. You were the inspirator of this. Co-conspirator in this was the dictionary. So we'll talk more about these things in specific. However, first, I wanted to talk with our panel and ask them a few questions. So I'm going to stop the sharing of the screen, and we're just going to talk a little bit about what it means to be on a working party. So you mentioned, Tara, that you started working with the DEG around the pandemic, but how did you learn about the DEG in the first place?
So heard about the DEG from firms in the UK that I'd worked with, and then I had gone to ILTA in London, and a lot of people were talking about it. And what really interested me at the time was the house styles, because it was something that we struggled with in North America, trying to get documents shared and things like that. So I kind of just followed it for a while, and then as we were expanding, going to kind of take off in North America, there was a form that said, do you want to volunteer to be kind of helping out with DEG in your area? And that's why I kind of jumped in. And then the pandemic hit.
And then we asked Tara to join us on a couple of the things that we were working on. So great. And how about you, Andrea? How did you learn about it first? And when did you first get involved?
Oh, it was back, I think it might have been 2013, around that sort of time. In fact, no, maybe even earlier than that, 2009. I had joined a law firm, Ward Hadaway, and they were right at that point in time looking to revisit their house style. So I very quickly got involved in that, started looking around for what was out there. And the very first thing I saw was the Standard Styles Initiative from the Document Excellence Group, and immediately thought this was something I needed to be involved with. And it's something that I've probably championed so much ever since. Yeah, just such a great organization.
So I take it, Andrea, you've worked on that working party for the Standard Styles. Any other of the working parties? What are the parts that you've worked with?
I mean, what haven't I worked with by this point after all of these years with the group? I'm just trying to think. There's been a lot of things to do with the industry liaison, which Angela Crossland is leading now and really going to take forward with a big push, which is where we have tried to engage with our various business partners, our services and solutions providers, to really have that relationship and make sure that our membership is getting visibility of the products and services in the market, and making sure we're able to feed back to them what might be going on in those solutions, how we can make improvements, and crucially for me, make sure that their products safeguard the document integrity as well. And in fact, it's something that was just said in the last panel, I feel I have to mention, was when we talked about co-authoring, and obviously Ben talked about almost having to reverse the process of get the content and then pretty it up afterwards. I think that's where really as a group, we have a lot of work to do to build on our document standards, which Sherry, I think you might be going to talk about, and to build on all of these working parties, because that's going to be so important now. If the content can be generated in all of these other tools, how do we bring that back into our environment without sacrificing the quality and that integrity? Because nobody wants to go back to the days where documents were corrupt, and obviously we all have problem documents now, but it's not a patch on what it used to be when this group started.
Very good. Tara, you know, what exactly intrigued you about some of the initiatives that you joined? What were they? And also, I'm really curious, did you have unlimited time to contribute to the working parties you were involved in? Because this is one thing a volunteer is always concerned about.
True enough. I just switched over. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
My headset wasn't working as well as it could have been. So the two that I was involved in was the dictionary. And I have to keep reminding myself it's now called the capabilities matrix. So those were the two that I was interested in, or that I participated in. And I love your question. I don't recall a time that I've ever had unlimited time to work anything since, you know, before I even got into this industry at all. So no, there isn't, but I always tend to make time for things that I'm passionate about. And for me, documents is kind of one of my favorite things to do. So I did. And like I said, one of the great parts about this was the timing for me, because it was around the pandemic and we started to work, it was almost an outlet. I was so used to traveling to sites and meeting people in person, and then all of a sudden you're at home, which I know a lot of you had the same experience. And so these were great because, again, I was meeting new people, we were sharing ideas, and it was something that I looked forward to on a regular basis. So I made time, and I think it really helped during that time.
Yeah, I think that we've all spent time on things that we're passionate about, and it doesn't feel like a burden. It actually energizes you for the other things that you have to allocate your time to. So Tara, I think that's just such a great insight. How about you, Andrea? How much time do you spend? I'm not going to ask you this week. We're going to disclude this week because
it's been a busy week.
Yeah, it's a little ramped up. But how much time do you generally spend on these kinds of things? Just so our audience knows when they volunteer, not if, when they volunteer to an initiative, how much they can, expect to contribute.
Oh, I think it's you can make this as much or as little as you have time to devote to it, essentially. I think over the years, there have been times I've been very intensely involved and given every free minute I possibly could to it, and other times where that's just not been possible with other commitments. And we all understand that in a voluntary organization. I'm probably a bad person to ask this question of, though, because when I get really passionate and really into something, I will be at this laptop getting involved in these projects for hours and hours and hours, and time will just go nowhere. You know, I'll not even realize that passage of time. But I think that speaks volumes to how much I enjoy the work and how much I actually think our members enjoy coming together to discuss these issues and further this agenda. But yeah, please don't be put off by me being a bit too into it. I really think you can devote as much or as little time. And it's one of those groups where what you put in really is what everybody gets back out at the end of it.
What an exceptional point. So Tara, to that, what exactly have you taken away from these experiences in the working parties? What benefits have you found?
Well, I'll start first with the capabilities matrix. So the working groups themselves, as I mentioned before, the being able to talk to people and share ideas and kind of come in. And what I found actually with both of them is it was almost like everybody got excited and one person would have an idea and then we were all waiting to say our next idea and we kind of went from there. But personally, the capabilities matrix, I've actually taken that and used that as well. I've modified it slightly for my needs, and I use it to kind of plan team needs, look at where the holes are, do cross-training plans, things like that. So from a personal perspective, that's what I took away from that particular one.
And then what sort of talents, this question is actually for both of you, what talents or skills helped you with working in the volunteer efforts that you did? And then equally, what skills and talents did you develop? Maybe Andrea, if you want to go first.
Oh, that's a very good question, Sherry. I think a degree of organization maybe has helped me personally, because there's just always so much you learn and want to follow up on when you're working in any of these groups. And I think you have to try to keep a little bit organized. But something I've really taken from it is, I'm going to say a sense of curiosity and empathy, perhaps. Understanding everybody else's perspectives when their experiences may completely differ to my own. And a great example of that is on the document structure working party at the moment. That's sort of the transatlantic organizing committee. And, you know, up until this point, I have probably known very little about the day-to-day realities of the documents in the US. And I think working with people who share those experiences readily and openly, I think that's fantastic. I've really come away learning a lot about that.
And how about you, Tara?
I think that what I brought to the working groups themselves were similar. I think the experience that I've had and all of the firms that I've talked to and kind of understanding some of it, I was able to bring that there. My love for documents, of course. And then I also tend to kind of look at the bigger picture. So where some of the people in the working groups were really good at getting into the details, I was a lot better at kind of stepping back and looking at more of a bigger picture and focused that way. What I guess skills or talents that I learned or took from those was the way that the creative teamwork worked. So especially with the remote situations, and I'm going to use the dictionary for one. So the dictionary, I remember it was a fantastic group. We had, I want to say, maybe 3 meetings where then after the 3rd meeting, we were like, well, we're doing great meetings, but we're not really accomplishing much, if you were not in a bad way. We just had lots of ideas, but we weren't sure how to present them. And we did try different methods to try to make it where we were all more productive and we had something to show for the end of it. And I think that really helped because, again, we were all kind of new to the remote working. And so seeing the different ideas that were brought up and how we kind of tried them out, I think helped in the grander scheme of things. And I agree with you, with Andrea, active listening was a big one. Like I just did right now. I get so excited and I want to jump right in. Step back and go, this person has good things to say too.
Let's go write a couple definitions right now. No, I think that both of you have called out something really key and really important, is that one element of the working parties that I think is so irresistible is the exploration, right? You know, you don't necessarily in your day job, night job, as it were, you don't necessarily get to explore all the time. And within the working parties, we had the opportunity to, as you said, Andrea, be curious and try things out and test things out and bounce it off of someone. And you really had kind of collaborative mentors as a result of it. So the exploration of the things that you don't know and how you can parlay that into a result for the working party. We all learned how to work together and we all learned how to organize from, you know, creative chaos, which is the part of the process, Tara, that you just described. And so I just really think that it helped us all, because then when we went to do those things in our actual jobs or in other parts of our lives, you know, you had the confidence and you realized this is the process and, you know, come on, everyone, it's fine. You know, even if you don't know the answer right now, we're going to figure it out. And so I really loved that formative experience. And Andrea, you mentioned the document standard project. There we are exercising all those muscles 5 times over. So with that, I think what I'm going to do right now, again, making the assumption that I can share the screen properly, I'm going to go back to our screen where we have up the actual initiatives. Oh, you have to click that share again, sorry. Where we have that actual initiatives landing page. And I'm going to use this for us to talk about some of them. I think let us start, Andrea, with the document structure one. And if you wouldn't mind kind of commenting about where we are with that and who's on it and just kind of the stage, this would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this really came out of a desire to extend and expand the standard styles framework. You know, that obviously works fantastic for the EMEA market, but there's a lot of places, the US in particular, where there are considerations still to go into that. So it originally started as just a how do we extend it, how do we make it more useful? And it's very quickly grown actually into this wonderful conversation around document structure, document standards. And we have a fantastic mix of people from the UK and the US, and also a fantastic mix of people from law firms and solutions providers as well. So trying to get a real balanced view on the organising committee. And from there, really, we're going to separate off into 4 working parties. And this is where we need all of you to get involved and contribute. And really, we've tried to break down what we think are the key areas. So the key one, of course, firstly being the structure itself. And this is, you know, how do we set the styles up? How do we set themes up? How do we set table styles? You know, how do we get the look and feel and make it structurally sound? Following on to the styles framework itself, they were originally put together for legal agreements, very standard agreements, but there's a lot of other document types. You know, we have prospectuses in that sort of area. We have correspondence, which most of us, I think, keep very similar to the document styles, but there are a lot of document types that we would like to extend this out to. So even if all you want to do is just send us an example of a document type, that too is very appreciated. And we're sort of then diving into the technical side of things as well, and the standards body side of things. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, because we're going to make sure that this is fully compliant with document standards. I mean, DocX, for a start, should be the standard, but we all know there are doc files kicking around. Of course they are. And of course, there's the likes in the US of EDGAR and the various court systems, which have to receive submissions in a certain format. So how do we work with those and make sure we're building that all in? And that, of course, leads to this final huge point about communication. It's communication, it's awareness, it's education. You know, how do we get the word out to people about what we're doing, and how do we empower people to adopt this? You know, I think one of the barriers people often come to us with when looking to adopt standard styles is, you know, how do we convince the business that this is valuable? You know, where do we make that case, and can you help us do that? And that's really what we'd like to do here. So there, as you can see, there's a lot going on. And Sherry, I'm not sure if you were already going to mention it, but I think you had flagged while I'm talking about standards there, the World Standards Day.
Oh, yes. Did you all know that it was World Standards Day, day before yesterday? And so all of the ISO standards that folks like this working committee, right, have worked on for like forever, the ISO standards of like PDF and XML and they celebrated International Standards Day day before yesterday. It's like, whoa, we are all in tune and in sync with this. We need so much help on this working party. It has now kind of formed and shaped itself. The creative process probably will go on from the beginning to when we actually deliver our resulting guidance. But again, see the little link, join us, volunteer here. That is how you're going to fill in and say that you would like to join that party. I now want to move to the dictionary, Tara. So this is where we're going to talk a little bit about this. There is, again, another card takes you to all of the detail about the dictionary, how we did it. You can, even at this link, you can submit terms. I want to remind everyone, a DEG day during the pandemic, or certainly a DEG meeting, we had a live engagement and had people submit terms. Tara, I think you remember this. We collected over 100 terms in that one meeting alone. And so I just wanted to show it to you so you know that we have actually delivered a dictionary. Andrea has put it into, let me see if I, oh, it's actually embedded. So if I just scroll, right, if I just scroll, there we go. Now, by the way, this is a term from New York. The very first time, Tara, that I ever heard it, because I'd never heard it until we were there, is I thought, I beg your pardon? What are you saying?
Me too. Totally me too.
It was just so crazy. But I want to scroll down to another one. Notice what we've done. We've put them kind of in a nice little form. There's a few definitions to come. What's the blob? There's another one. Boy, you use that term and people who don't know it are a little kind of crazy. Like, what are you talking about? However, let's go down. I want Andrea to talk about this. Somebody during the meeting actually already said that they've had this experience. Surprise.
Fantastic. I mean, I can see, so Claire Winslow in the audience, who is in the auditorium today, works very closely with me at Norton Rose Fulbright, and she actually coined this term when we were referring to the surprise updates that Microsoft come out with. So something that we were going to mention to you all in an upcoming newsletter is a change to a keyboard shortcut that's happened last year, but it's only really affecting people now. We came across it, and of course, Claire straight away said, this is a Scylla. And for anybody not in the UK, this refers to Cilla Black of Surprise, Surprise fame. It was a TV show. So a surprise feature is in our world a Scylla.
And I love it because this is the point of the dictionary. We have a common language, right? Even if we invent terms, Jason tab, oh, for Pete's sakes. But, you know, we have this common language and, you know, meaningful language. And so we can even invent words or, you know, phrases. And so please submit those because this one is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So this again is our dictionary. With many of the terms defined, but we still have many more to go. And we have way more that we want to do with this, especially getting an international presence. So if any of you have this, and again, Sally, why I said your name earlier was because you had created something like this when you were at Freshfields. Just the way that, you know, say your international offices might express a table of contents or might express, you know, what exactly is that vocabulary. And so we have ways of saying, you know, referring to, also known as, and things like that. So this dictionary will, you know, it's on this link. You can actually see it on mobile. You can export it. And by the way, it is fully accessible. It's fully accessible. There's an accessibility view in which you can search and you can have it navigate for you. So again, we're pretty excited about it. We need more help. So with that, we've also got our programming committee and industry liaison. I am not as familiar with what we're entirely doing here as far as like the working party that's formed. So Andrea, who is leading this particular one?
Yep, this is Angela Crossland. So she is leading this initiative. Please get in touch if you'd like to find out more. We are essentially looking to reform how we work with our business partners and make sure you get the most out of that two-way relationship. So it benefits the members and it benefits the solutions providers.
Fantastic. And then we also have, bear with me, I want to make sure, do I scroll? Here we go. Here's the other one that we wanted to mention today.
So this is a very big one for me. I think this is so important. And that's the idea of having a contact within various law firms, someone you can reach out to if you are having a problem with somebody else's document. And it's something that we've benefited from within the DEG committee for a number of years. If I've had an issue with a Denton's document, for example, and I just haven't been able to wrestle it into submission, I've been able to email or pick up the phone to Kim and just say, what am I doing wrong to make your document right? You know, you're the expert at your own document, essentially. You know what your house style should be, what it should look like. And there are times we have a document that just, the numbering disappears, everything's gone wrong. We need to get it out of the door. And, the lawyer is there saying you need to fix it, it needs to be fixed. But we don't even know what it should look like. We don't know where to start because we did not have a correct version of it. So what we're inviting people to do is to join up. We are going to have a secure directory. So your information will only be accessible to those who join in with this initiative. And you're basically saying you are happy to be contacted. And I think a key bit here is, if you are willing, you could also supply a clean version of your template containing your house styles as they should be when working correctly. And that means people may not even need to reach out to you at all. They might just be able to download your template and refresh the styles in their own document, and that might be enough. Essentially, though, this is the idea of community, and we're all benefit when we stand together.
Fantastic. So again, there's plenty for each of you to apply your skills and learning interests to. We welcome you in any one of these projects and endeavors. And again, even events and programming, we can use some help on that. Tara, one of the things that Judy Relaford said about the capabilities matrix, I'm just wondering if you can kind of share. Judy was unable to join us today, but she had this fabulous, fabulous comment about the capabilities matrix that, again, I think is a takeaway for almost every one of these projects. And I wondered if you might share that. Oop, I think you might be muted.
There we go. Her quote said, "I have loved the capabilities matrix. I find it very useful for the objectives we intended, especially getting the next generation ready to fill the roles that are opening up."
And I think that is, again, a takeaway for all of these things, is that what we all want to do is to give back to the community the things that will set us up for success and continued. I can't recall who said it on the prior panel, but these needs are going to go on forever, and equally they will pay dividends forever. Even structuring a document, guess what? It enhances search, it enhances AI, it enhances everything. And so we have probably more validation of these efforts now than we probably ever have. And we've extended the whole technical aspects of it too, so that we, in the standards project, we'll talk about things like information security on documents, how we can work together on documents. So this is a big initiative, but it will be essentially a handbook for everyone. And that's what we look at this and all of these working parties. Claire Waller said something to me when we were going over these things, and she said that in the working parties, this is exactly where essentially the heart of this organization is. And so we, all of us, encourage you to join, to participate, to learn, and collaborate across the pond even. So, and across clocks. As Tara and I sit here at, goodness, 5 a.m. But anyway, really, really want you all to join. Again, there are links right on the website. And any questions that anybody has? Any comments? I can't see the chat either, so if there's questions, I'm sorry, someone's going to have to read them out to us.
I'm being informed there aren't any on the chat. There aren't any questions. And we don't have any questions in the room. I think we're coming up to sort of lunch break, so people are getting hungry.
Very good.
They've all gone very quiet and sat very low in their chairs.
All right.
That was super, super useful. And I can't believe how much, in the 20 years, how much it's grown and how much it's kind of, you're working with a whole load of different areas. Some of the things haven't changed. and some of the challenges. And one antidote that I've got about an Americanism, and I was even thinking, how does that go in the dictionary? I was working, whilst I was at Clifford Chance, I was out in New York, and I was with a team there, and we were globalizing the desktop. And they said, oh, Jenny, keep talking. We love your accent. I'm not even going to do an American accent, right? And it's like, oh, Jenny, I was thinking, my British accent isn't that good. And I said something about doing semicolon, and the room looked at me and went, what? And I said, oh, semicolon. No, still haven't got, literally 5 minutes. No, the dot and oh, you mean semicolon. How do we put that in the dictionary is what I was thinking.
You know, it's really a good point, because one of the elements, this is again how these efforts really educate us, that we can actually do audio clips for pronunciation.
Oh, okay. We're going to. That's my request then. That's my contribution.
There you go. It's and that's one of the things we realized is it had to be an illustrated dictionary, right? And when you go to manage all those images, and they're going to be in HTML, I mean, there's a lot of considerations. So we learned a ton, and audio is one of the elements we can add. You could record it. It could be your voice.
Anyway, moving on.
Jenny's on the party. She's on the party there, Tara. We recruited one.
Yeah, it's
okay.
for all the work that goes on behind the scenes. And I think your sort of call out is we're only as good as the team that kind of makes it all work. So
Yes.
yeah, and we learn from each other, right? And what a safe place to learn from. So thank you.
And making it indelible, that's our goal, right? Making it indelible. So
Definitely.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Andrea, for all that you've contributed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Bye.